Hey Connection team, I hope you're doing well, and thank you for taking the time to watch this video here. I don't know about you guys, but my summer has been super busy this year. But I've had a few things on my heart and my mind that I wanted to share with you all as it relates to this team. So I just thought, with respect to each of our schedules, I would move forward with a video for this time. We'll plan to do a meeting with the whole team together, probably in early 2026, like we typically do. And that'll just be to go over any updated information. But for now, I want to just go over a few things with you so that you can be set up for success as a member of the team as we head into the rest of summer and into the fall. So first off, let me just begin by saying thank you. Thank you so much. You are such a blessing to this church. By serving on this team. Because of your willingness to take the time to serve, to greet, and welcome people to our community, we couldn't do what we do without you. So I just want to say thank you for that. You play a vital role in our Sunday morning services, and I'm grateful for each of you. So thank you for your commitment here at Freedom, and I pray that God continues to bless you with more of His presence and His goodness and His favor on your life as you serve Him. There are a few different things that I want to go over in this video, so I just want to start by sharing a couple of updates that are important for you to know. For our updates, first of all, we have our guest booth. Our guest booth has been doing great since we implemented that around Easter. It's been a great time for first-time guests and as well as regular congregants to just connect with our church in a deeper way. We're still working on growing the team for this role, but I just want to highlight the Dailies, the Johnsons, and the Leos have all been doing just a really great job of filling in for this role. We've had many great connection points and conversations with guests at this booth, and we're seeing more and more Connect cards being turned in as a result. So the guest booth has been just a great win. For those of you who don't serve in that role on the team, which is most of you, I just want to encourage you, please continue to direct guests to our guest booth so that we can get them the information that they need and get them connected to our community. Another update that I want to share with you is at the beginning of the year, I referenced something that we wanted to try by having the whole church fill out Connect cards and dropping them off in offering buckets on the way out. Now, the purpose of this was to encourage people to fill out cards so guests would be more comfortable with filling out cards as well, and also to create more serving opportunities on this team by adding in the role of an usher. So as we tried this out, though, we kind of have shifted away from this approach a little bit, as it didn't seem to be as effective as the impact that the guest booth has been having. So with that being said, there may still be occasionally services where we ask you to stand at the doors with the offering buckets if there's a particular response that Pastor Bill would like to do or something like that, but those will be pretty irregular. So again, please just still encourage guests to fill out Connect cards, as that's the best way for us to keep in touch with them and connect them to the church, and do that by pointing them to the guest booth. So those are a couple of the updates that I wanted to share with you. Now let me go over a couple of practical things, just kind of things specific to our team. So first off, you know that we use Planning Center to know if our teams are covered for the weeks that are scheduled. This is just your friendly reminder to please be diligent to confirm or decline in Planning Center for the weeks that you are scheduled. And honestly, it doesn't really do a whole lot of good if you're confirming the morning of. So please try to give a couple, or at least preferably a few days, but at least a couple days notice for that. You can also add in vacation days as blockout dates. That's the terminology used in Planning Center. If you look for add blockout dates, that should be the language that you'll see. But you can add those in for weeks that you know you will be out of town. So utilizing Planning Center is a great way that we can honor each other on the team. So please make sure you're doing that. Secondly, on the practical side, please make sure that you're arriving on time. The arrival time for Connection team members is 10:45 or 30 minutes before service if the service time is different than normal. For example, we'll have our church picnic coming up, and we'll be doing one combined service for that at 10 a.m. So our Connection team for that morning, please plan to arrive at 9:30, 30 minutes before. But just thinking of that 30-minute before service timeline, that's what we're shooting for. Now, there will be times where we run late. I totally understand. That happens. There is grace for that. But a regular routine of arriving around 10:50-ish or even 11, I would say, is problematic. Many guests arrive well before service starts so they can know where they're supposed to go as they check out our church. So let's make sure that we're there on time so that we can be hospitable and welcoming to them as they come in. We don't want guests arriving before us as the connection team. Lastly, for these practical things, I just want to briefly go over communion for those on the first Sunday of the month, as we've grown that team a little bit, so maybe we aren't used to the process for that yet. But occasionally also maybe there's a time, a different week in the month where one of our other teams would be serving communion. We typically do communion between the second and third song, so please make sure that you're ready and standing in the back during the second song. As the pastor leading communion walks the congregation through it, you can look for people that have their hands raised and hand them the communion elements. That's something we always try to do when leading communion is, hey, if you didn't receive the elements on the way in, just slip a hand up and a team member will get that to you. Well, we're the team members that need to get it to them, so let's make sure we're in place and looking for those hands. Sometimes people don't really raise their hands high, so look for just even a little hand that's raised. Just keep your eyes open for that. We do the best we can. Sometimes the room is dark. I totally get it, but like I just said, let's just do the best we can. So start by walking down the middle aisles and work outward. And then after communion is over, begin to collect their cups with the same baskets by the same approach, starting with the main aisles and working outward so that you're kind of more in the line of sight to start and then gradually out of sight as you work towards the outer aisles and whatnot. And if you have any questions about that, feel free to go to your team leader. They're happy to help you. Okay, we've covered a few different things. We've covered updates, practical information, and now let's go over this last segment. I just want to talk through the vision for just a couple minutes. You know, I said at the start that the connection team is a key piece of the church, and the reason is because you are the first impression that someone will have when they visit us. And so your role as the connection team member is to be the bridge. It's to be the bridge. We want to bridge the gap between people that don't know who we are and people that are already a part of the community, to bridge that gap. Now, the guest booth is there as the main function of this, but it's all of our responsibility as a whole team. And we want to bridge that gap by welcoming people, helping them know where to go, and by connecting them to those that are already in the church, right? So we are the connection team after all, so it's our job to connect people with those that are guests with those that are already a part of the church. And so here are some ways that I want to see us do this as a team. First, let's try to have a customer service type of attitude. I don't know, I personally love a place like Chick-fil-A. So think of like Chick-fil-A, but to the ultimate degree, right? They're always, my pleasure. Their customer service is outstanding. And so if people have, if as guests come, if they have questions about something, we want to answer them in a very polite and kind way. If you don't know the answer, don't say, I don't know. That's not going to be a great customer service type experience, right? Direct them to someone who would know, like one of the pastors or maybe your team leader, depending on what the question is. If you don't understand their question, politely ask them to repeat it or say it differently. We don't want to be people that are rude or abrupt. We want to be kind and hospitable as we're here to serve those that are coming through the doors of our church. So my encouragement to you would be, think of your best customer service experience and do it like that. And this does include being kind and hospitable to anyone who would come through the doors of our church. As Pastor Bill mentioned in his sermon a few weeks ago, we're praying for the right types of problems, right? Not enough parking, people taking our seats, or people that maybe we wouldn't expect to be in church, being in church. And so it's our job as the connection team to be the bridge. And I think it's important that we treat all people hospitably in that way. Second, as far as the vision goes here, we want to start handing out bulletins more. I know typically our week 4 team, or the last team of the month, is the one that hands out the bulletins. You guys have been doing a great job. Keep knocking it out of the park. But I would love to see each of our weeks actually hand out bulletins moving forward. These are one of the main ways that people in our church will know what's going on, and I want them to be aware of everything as we can, So politely encourage people to take one, even if they got one last week. If they say they don't want it, that's totally okay. We aren't going to force it on them, obviously. And I would encourage you to, don't just use it as a handout, not just something that we give to people as they enter or as they leave, but use the bulletins as a talking point. Because again, our job is to be the connection team, to connect people with those that are in the church, and maybe that's us, maybe that's someone else that we know. But for example, if you see there's a men's ministry event on the bulletin or any other ministry, and someone who would participate in that ministry comes through the doors, hand them the bulletin and say, hey, did you know that we're doing this event? This is going to be a great time and we would love to see you there. So obviously we don't want to be pushy about this, but I just would encourage you. We don't just want to be friendly as people enter, we want to try to engage with them. And as opportunities present themselves. So not everyone will want to be engaged with, totally fine. We do want to kind of meet people where they're at on their terms in that regard. But I do think just looking for those opportunities of an engagement point with people, a handshake is great. It's great to be friendly. But if there's an opportunity we can engage with them a little more, then I think that is something we should look for. Again, most people probably won't, but that's okay. As opportunities present themselves, feel free to do that. We aren't salesmen, but we are trying to engage with them. It's one step beyond friendliness. Lastly, please make sure you're reviewing our playbook for this team, as that's the guide that will help you know the important information about serving on the connection team. And it also highlights the vision as well as the guidelines for serving on the team, and so the vision a little bit more explicitly than what I'm sharing here in this video. And so I'll attach the playbook in the email that contains this video so you have access to that. So, okay, that is a lot of different info. If you need to go back and rewatch any part of this, go ahead and do that. But we covered important updates regarding the guest booth and our ushers and offering buckets. Then we covered the practical information about Planning Center, timeliness, and communion. And then we covered the vision pieces about our purpose for this team and the culture that we're trying to create with engagement, bulletins, and having that customer service type of attitude. So thank you again so much for taking the time to watch this video. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to your team leaders, as they're there to help you. Or you can also direct any questions to me, as I'm here to serve you guys as well. Thank you all again so much for making our church better and stronger by serving on this team, and may God bless you.